Some seasons in life are just busy, and it's hard to make time to do homeschool well. And sometimes the seasons are just hard. A week, a month, a school year, and it's hard to do homeschool well. And while the flexibility of homeschool life means that we can adapt for that, sometimes we fall into the habit of not doing much or anything if we can't do everything, all or nothing. I certainly fall into that at times. Much less so now that my kids are older, but when they were younger especially. So several years ago, I sat down to make a list of the things that would absolutely need to get done, whether times are busy or times are hard, which can sometimes certainly be both, so that when those days came, I had a guideline for myself. Because once I had that guideline written down, then it was a lot easier to make sure that we did something, and what we did well. Versus the temptation to just say whatever. And these can certainly overlap each other, and that's fine if they do. Whatever we need to do to make this list happen, and to make this list happen well. So, first thing is that we read something. Now, this might be individually, this might be magazines or fiction books, storybooks, chapter read aloud. It might be an audiobook. It might be our history or our science. The goal is to make sure that we get something read, okay? So that we are continuing that, just whatever learning naturally happens when you read, but also just enforcing that habit of reading being important. And with the idea that it doesn't always have to be a read aloud that we do together, or our 30 minutes or 45 minutes of individual reading time. It can be reading magazines in the car as we go, and that's okay. Next one is add something. Now, clearly, when I created this list, my kids were much younger than they are now at 10, 13, and 16. So adding, that's a kind of low bar, but the whole idea is that we do some kind of math. Now, it might look like our regular curriculum, which my younger two use Beast Academy. Might be the printed books, or it might be doing it online. It might look like using Keys to the Keys to series for a little bit of review, or I've got a book of logic type problems that are algebra-based math problems from Critical Thinking Company. I forget what book it is. I'll try to leave the title down there. So something like that, it might look just like that we do those in the car. It could also look like, especially when they were younger, it might look like some different apps. The Dragon Box Math app series is absolutely fantastic and is not at all like a, sometimes apps fall into more what I would call like the edutainment type of thing that, there's a little bit of education, but more we're just entertaining ourselves. The Dragon Box ones, they are entertaining, but there is so much learning that happens on those, especially the algebra ones. They absolutely helped prepare my daughter for algebra classes as a high school and junior high student. So yes, that might be what it looks like as we're doing apps in the car as we're driving to wherever. But it's purposefully chosen. And that's, to me, the key for all of these, is that I have a short list specifically so that each thing is chosen to be done well. It may not look like the entire assignment that I wish we would do, but if we are doing 1 page of math instead of 3 pages of math, if that 1 page is done really well, then I'm going to count it as a success. Third thing, we enjoy something. Now, this might seem like an odd one to put on the list. Whether life is busy or whether life is hard, we all need that reminder that life still needs to be enjoyed. And it's not just about running around to activities, or in non-COVID times. I kind of remember those days. Or that when life is hard, that encompasses everything, we can still find enjoyment. But what does that look like? Well, it might mean that we enjoy a read-aloud together. It might mean that we enjoy a video, something on Netflix or PBS. It can even look like just enjoying some food, a good meal out, a favorite homemade snack that I make during the school day. That purposeful action of making sure that we enjoy something in the day as a family unit is absolutely essential to our homeschool days and our general homeschool life. I've talked about this in other videos. I absolutely think that making sure that we don't lose sight of the relationships and the whole in favor of marking things off our to-do list is absolutely essential. Number 4 is to learn about someone. This can absolutely be a crossover subject. Maybe it's a scientist we learn about, maybe it's someone in history we learn about, maybe it's part of our reading that we are reading a biography of someone. Whatever it is, learning about someone forces us to, 1, make sure we get some kind of something history-ish done. And it also forces us to take a perspective of learning about someone else that is outside of our perspective of life. I think for me, that's absolutely one of the reasons that we homeschool is so that I can make sure that happens to my satisfaction. And the last thing on my list is to make sure that we spend some time outside. It might be that we stop by a park and just play for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Not so easy to do when your kids are on the young side, I know. I remember those days of them not wanting to leave. But now that my boys are older, we can do that. Maybe I send them outside to run around at lunchtime. If the weather's nice, we might take something outside, some of our subjects outside, and do that. If you want to find out more about why I think relationships are the most important part of our homeschool, check out the video on screen right over there, I think. Right. And I'll see you in the next video.